Hello, and welcome to the Performer's Guide. My name is Krystin Railing, and today we will be discussing our entrepreneurial mindset. So in this webinar, we will be covering the 3 basics of getting into your entrepreneurial mindset. Even before we file our business or even start to think about our business as an entity, we first want to realize that our business really comes from the inside out. And it is an extension of who we are as a person. So we first want to focus on our internal whys, our thoughts and thinking like an entrepreneur, and being a leader instead of a boss. So the first step is starting with why. Oftentimes, many performers and small business owners that come to me as clients are struggling to define their brand's description, their executive summary, their marketing plan. A lot of these things are struggling for them. And when you kind of break it down, it comes down to the fact that they don't really have a solid grasp on why they are doing what they're doing and why what they're doing serves their clients. And oftentimes, many of us, when we're focusing on building our business and then marketing that business, we focus solely on what we're going to provide and how we're going to provide that to our clients. But we overlook the why. Why are we giving this to them? And so this is a really wonderful activity that I like to do. It's called Start with Why. And you see how the circle is the why on the inside, and then it's how, and then what? Oftentimes people have it reversed. They start with the what, and then they figure out how, and then they try to get to the why. And so it's a little bit backwards. So what we want to do is first start with, why am I starting a business? Why am I choosing this niche? Why am I choosing this market? And why are my products and services beneficial to the market that I've chosen? So we really want to start thinking about your why as essentially the purpose of your business. What is the purpose of this business? Why are you even making it? And sometimes when I ask people this, like why, it can sound jarring or a little bit off-putting to feel defensive of like, what do you mean why? It's because I created this and I want to give it to people. And if we can sort of flip it and really focus on the why and not our why, like, because I want to make money, because I want to pay my rent, because I want to be famous. Those are very internal, selfishly driven, intrinsic whys. And so we want to also flip that. And instead of saying, I want to start a business so that I can make money, you want to think of it like, I want to start a business because I'm trying to serve my community, because I'm solving a problem, because there's a need that needs filling. Okay. So this is going to be your homework. And I want you to draw this chart and then write what, how, and why. And you're going to write, what do I do? Oh, who do I do it for? Add on the for there. And why do I do it? And so you'll notice that I did put why at the bottom, even though it's called Start with Why. because most of the time people have a general understanding of what they want to do at this point. If you're taking this course specifically, you probably already have a small business idea that has a product or service, and you know generally who you're serving. So if you can start there, then you can start to think about who these people are and then really figure out your why. And then once you've done it this way, then you flip-flop it in the way that you present your business. Why am I here? Who am I serving? And then what am I doing? Because really, people are buying what you're selling, but they're really buying you and why you're doing it and what the reason is. And this larger than life and larger than you ethereal reason, you know what I mean? And so the same way as I had Circus Mafia and then I switched to the Performer's Guide, the why is still the same for me. I saw a need that my friends needed help and I filled that need for them. And 10 years ago, the help that they needed was being marketed and hired through my agency. And now the help that they need is more personalized coaching and mentorship so that they can make their own businesses thrive. And so it's slightly what I'm doing is different, but the why and the who are very similar. They've changed a little bit, but that's why a lot of people were able to slide over from Circus Mafia into the Performer's Guide business model mindset, because it was easy, because I knew what my why was and I was really able to project that to my clients. Okay, so this is a really fun activity. I want you to answer these questions and then share them in the group. Step 2, think like an entrepreneur. So this is sometimes a barrier for some people. They're performers, they're artists, they're just somebody who's selling something. Oh, I'm not a business owner, I'm not an entrepreneur. But the second that you meet the universe energetically and meet it saying, I'm an entrepreneur, then more business opportunities will come to you and your business will flourish. So how do you think like an entrepreneur? What's the difference between an entrepreneur and a worker, right? Somebody who has a job and is reliant upon somebody else. So one of the defining factors for being an entrepreneur is you need to have self-motivation, because there's no timesheet, there's nobody clocking you in and out. There's no steady paycheck that you can just ride on the minimum for. You have to create that motivation within yourself, because there's not going to be any external positive motivator. You're only going to get negative external motivations of my bills are stacking up and I lost my house, I lost my car, you know what I mean? You're going to have these negative things if you're not making money. And so you have to create internal motivation. And it's really important to understand early on the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation and how to utilize and leverage both of them for your small business mindset. Okay. Entrepreneurs have a solid understanding of what they offer. And even if they don't in the transitional moments of the new business, they still understand the why enough to start to build the market so that when they begin to offer something, the market's already there. And even with the Performer's Guide, once I became more clear about what I was offering, then I was able to make more sales in my business. Many of you have been with me for a year now or 2 years, and you can remember I wasn't entirely sure what I was offering or the steps, and everything was still a little bit under construction. And the second I built it out, understood what the products, what the services are, then people can latch onto it and actually make purchases from you, right? Entrepreneurs take risks, and I think this is a big one. I am constantly being told, you can't do that, you shouldn't do that, it hasn't been done like that, nobody does that, that's not going to work. And I just try it anyway. And it's about taking calculated risks, of course, but if you stay in your comfort zone for too long, then the growth of the entrepreneur will stagnate and you will plateau in your financial growth. And so it's important for safety and security in some points of your business, but then there's also times to recognize when an investment opportunity presents itself, if that's a risk worth taking. And I think a lot of times people won't take the loan, won't take the business partner, won't take these potential energetic offerings from the universe because they're afraid to take a risk on it, you know? And it's a lot of times because they don't trust themselves or the outcome or something. So it's important to trust yourself enough to be able to take those calculated risks in your business. Entrepreneurs know how to network. I looked through some of my clients' profiles, and oftentimes when people message me and are asking me about marketing, I go, you have 800 friends on Facebook when the max capacity is 5,000. You know, that alone right there is telling me that people aren't fully capitalizing on their network ability, either online, in person, cross-marketing, cross-promoting. There's so many different ways to network your business and then leverage that networking for business growth. So check your Facebook friends and your social stats. And if they're really low, spend more time making really authentic, genuine connections with people within your niche. Okay? Entrepreneurs have money management skills. And honestly, money management skills, back-end office management skills, personal manager skills, management skills in general are going to be a very important personal trait for an entrepreneur, because you can't really run a functioning business if you can't get through your files on the back end, or if you can't even find an email, or if you can't find the message of an agreement that you had with somebody a few days ago, then you're gonna be putting more mental strain on yourself and then more of an emotional burden on the people that you're doing business with. And it can work for a little bit, but oftentimes just time management, personal management, back-end management skills are lacking for a lot of entrepreneurs because they've been working in offices or in other situations where those structures were already created for them, and then they were just a pawn in it and a piece in it, and like a gear cog, right? Where instead you're the watch builder, and so you're the one who has to be able to manage all of those pieces to make sure that the watch works, right? Your business. Entrepreneurs are flexible, and this is huge. When you're creating your business model and plan and such, and as we're going through this program, know that nothing is concrete. Nothing is one and done. You create something, you're testing, it's a feedback loop, and it might work, it might not, and we're not going to take things personal. We're just going to be flexible in the approach. And the more you can be flexible with the delivery and the approach and your prices and your market and offerings, and really just listen to what people need instead of being like, this is what I created and no, this is it. What do you mean? No, this is the offering. The better you're going to be. So be flexible during this program and during your business ownership as well. And know that, you know, for instance, when I started the Performer's Guide, this was just going to be a book. I was just writing a book, and then I wanted to ask 10 people what they thought of what I had written. And then through that, I realized that people needed more personalized mentorship, and that webinars and doing online coaching in this way was going to be more beneficial for everybody than me just doing a one and done book. So it was my ability to have flexibility in that approach that has really, I think, gained traction in this business. And lastly, passion. If you are not passionate, if you're just mildly enthusiastic, people will notice. And I think that's a really big key to success in all of my businesses, is I'm genuinely so passionate about them that I could talk about them for hours, and I'm naturally drawn into talking about them with my friends. And it's just something you find yourself talking about. And if you're unsure what your products and services or what you're offering, like, what are you passionate about? What are you able to just literally talk for an hour about without even having to research or do anything? And start there and just try to work that into your business. Okay. So that's that. So, and then there's different types of entrepreneurs, and we want to make sure that we understand which one we are. And when we can understand what type of entrepreneur you are and I am, then we can understand the ways in which we work together. And you can figure out which ones work in your benefit and which partnerships maybe don't work for you. And you can start to see how each person sort of has their own different entrepreneurship personality that you can leverage to cross-promote each other's businesses. So you've got like the classic small business entrepreneur. And so a small business is literally anybody with under 100 employees that makes less than $1 million. And so generally you'd have small business or your large company, which is what you would consider like a corporation. Most of us are going to be in the small business category, making under $1 million. And then you have the scalable startup. So some businesses are very scalable and some businesses are not inherently naturally very scalable. I feel like my business is much more scalable now than the business Circus Mafia was 10 years ago. And so that's one thing you want to think about in your business as you're starting it, is how scalable is this? How much energy am I willing to put into this over time? Am I able to extract myself from it? And are there other partnerships that I can leverage that will help me scale my business quicker? Then you have the social entrepreneur. And these people, you know, these could either be nonprofits, these could be social change, and then they can also be social community building businesses. And so there's a lot of, these are the networkers, the people who are bringing two people together. They might not even sell or do anything. They're just creating change through social interactions, essentially. Then you have the innovative entrepreneur. This is the person that's creating something out of thin air. You know, they probably need a patent or a trademark, something along those lines. And it's something that's never been done before, like, you know, the telephone or Tesla, or, you know, there's some sort of innovative technology that will have a patent over it. And so a lot of times people are just kind of creating, we'll jump down there to more the imitator entrepreneur, where it's just like, you know, a product and service that already exists and you're just recreating that and through your brand to leverage. Like a hat, you know, like a beanie would be, you know, something like that. So the hustler is, they're working, you know, they're the ones getting commission. They're the ones doing all the work, the managers, the, you know, calling on the phone, wine and dine. You know, they're the ones who you always see work. Or people consider me kind of the hustler because they always see me working, but I'm actually not hustling because it's more calculated and it's I kind of have more of a plan, and it's a little bit different. So the hustler, we don't want to be the hustler as much as we can. It's nice to work with hustlers, but we a lot of us are kind of in the hustle mode, and so that's kind of the one we really want to get out of. And then the imitator one is also the one of the kind of least desired entrepreneurs, right? And people don't like to be copied, or imitation is the best form of flattery, but it's the most annoying, right? But the imitator entrepreneur is kind of like a shark. They seize the moment. Actually, I think I didn't actually look at this up, but I think the phone is one of those where, like, he didn't actually create the phone, you know, he just marketed it better. He imitated somebody else's idea, and you know, that's what you think of when you think of that product. And so the imitators, it's one of them, and there's nothing, I guess, inherently wrong. It's technically a form of entrepreneurship, but you want to try to sort of use that as maybe just like a little leap pad and not a landing spot for your business, because oftentimes we will tend to take in other people's what's working and what's not working for our business. But the second you're like straight copying and imitating one person, it's it kind of comes down to the number of people you're imitating, right? So if you're taking from 10, 20 people, it's less noticeable than if you're just literally copying one person or taking one or two people. It's going to be very noticeable. And so if you are in the imitator entrepreneurship stage of your business, you want to make sure you're pulling from a lot of different sources. Then you got the researcher. That's honestly kind of where I started with the performer's guide, because I had just done all that research and typing up all those articles. But this is sort of more like scientific research, you know, and there's a lot of entrepreneurs that can make a lot of money just research and development and then finding and discovering that something exists, which is sort of in the innovative entrepreneur, but the researcher is discovering and the innovator is creating. Which one are you? And once you understand which type of entrepreneur you are, then you can understand what type of entrepreneurs you want to work with and which ones are going to best go with your abilities. Step 3, the final step, is be a leader. Don't be a boss. So as you're starting to build your business, you're going to inevitably encounter other people, and you're likely going to be managing other people or being contracted out with other people. And so you just want to start to really think, who am I as a leader as you're starting to build out your business? And what is the message you're trying to portray as this leader? What is the kind of person you want people to think you are? And most importantly, how do you want people to feel in your presence and when they leave your presence? Because ultimately, in my opinion, that's what makes a great leader, is when you've left their presence, you feel empowered and not disempowered. This is my favorite example of this. You've got the top, which is the boss, and then you have the bottom, which is the leader. And so the thing about the boss is he makes the employees think that they need him or her, them. But in reality, the boss needs the employees, because if the employees stopped working, the business would literally not function. And so there's actually a psychological game going on there between the boss and the employees that's almost like a cult or manipulation tactics, where it's like, I'm the one who can hire and fire you. I'm the one who holds your paycheck. I'm the one who made you this way. I'm the one that trained you. And the boss holds their employees back, their performers back, their clients back, in order to perpetuate the thought that they need them, that the performers or your employees or your clients need you. But really, you're the leader and you're working towards the same goal as these people. And if the employees or your clients or your performers or whoever, the people helping you with your business, stopped, your business would still function and run, just slower. It would still happen because your energy is in there. And not only that, but you're leading by example. You're the first person getting hit in the face with the brush. You're the person in the front's pulling the most weight. And so your leadership is what people need, not feeling like you're a boss above them. And also look at that, right? The boss is above the employees, whereas the leader is on the same level as the employees. And when I owned Circus Mafia, it's funny because all my employees and all my like performers, everybody always like, okay, boss, because they really wanted me. They wanted somebody who was like, okay, you're the boss. And it always rubbed me the wrong way. And I didn't realize why until I really started learning about this. That I was like, oh, I'm not a boss. I'm a boss bitch. But sometimes I'm just a bitch. And so those are things you want to not be, boss or bitch. Instead, you want to be a leader. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're going to lead with integrity and not be boss bitches. And so what is leadership? Leadership is a combination of teamwork, of motivating the people around you and making sure that they feel motivated and competent to continue on without you, and that they're not codependent on you. So if they're competent, they're not codependent. And leadership is about building skills and genuinely building the skills of the people around you in an authentic way that's like not transactional. Like, I trained you, now you owe me. Just knowing that like the skill share itself was the lesson and the energy exchange. Responsibility. And I think this is a huge one. The leader takes responsibility not only for themselves above all and never blames other people, but oftentimes they'll take responsibility for things that were like below them and technically somebody else made the mistake. But because you're leading them, you can often kind of retrail it back and to, okay, I see where I as a leader could have done better, to remind you more, to empower you more, to something could have been done more to ensure that all the tasks were completed. And usually that falls on the leader. Communication is a big one. Nonviolent communication. If you don't know that and haven't studied that, I welcome you to look that up on its own. And utilizing nonviolent communication when you're speaking with the people around you, especially when tensions become high, can really make or break your business relationship, right? If you go in with poor communication skills, either verbal in heat or having poor reply times, right? If you're in an email-based business where inquiries are coming in and you're not responding for a week, you got to improve your communication skills for your leadership. And power, it's not about being powerful or dominant, but it's about maintaining power it's like power and sort of control, but without being controlling, right? And so that's an interesting one. having power without being powerful without being like powered, and then having control without being controlling. Support. A leader is supportive, and if you're not truly supporting the people around you emotionally, financially, and when they need you, you're going to slowly lose a lot of your core group and have a lot of turnover rate in your business. And so really focusing on all of these key aspects are going to help you just improve your leadership. So here are some other qualities of a leader. I guess humility was so important it deserved 2 stars. In the same way that you take responsibility for other people's mistakes and you're the one sort of taking the brunt of it, you're also likely going to be the one not taking the credit for other people's successes. And so a truly good leader is going to, you know, if someone's like, wow, your business is doing really well, they'll immediately throw it back and say, well, it would never have happened without these amazing people that I work with and my amazing clients, and these other people around me are really the support system. And having that humility instead of saying, I know, I created the best business in the world and I'm the best, and obviously is going to make or break your business as well, because it's going to change the way people think about you and your business. So you want to have self-awareness as well, and really remembering that it's a feedback loop. You're in a feedback loop with your business. And if you are just like, nope, this is how I am as a business, then you're likely going to come up with some feedback that you can take or leave. But it's important to at least be aware of what people are perceiving of your brand so that you can take control of it. You want to have empathy. You want to have guts. I kind of went over a few of these with the entrepreneurship of being able to take risks, right? They know how. If you don't know how to do something, then just hire somebody else to do it or ask somebody else, and don't be a know-it-all. There's a big difference between being know-how and a know-it-all. And we want to make sure that we're more know-how. And if I don't know how, I'll find out how. Keep it simple. I can say 90% of the people who are going to be taking this course, your business is already far too complex than it needs to be. And you can utilize the 80-20 rule, that 80% of the things that you're doing are not generating income for you, and only 20% of what you're doing is generating 80% of your income. And so what are those things? Simplify the business, simplify what you're offering, simplify the your systems, simplify. And having integrity. You know, you can't say one thing and then do another and expect to be a leader. So you have to be in integrity, and your word is your bond, and your word is the same as a contract. We always don't want to have contracts, but you want to be somebody that if you say something, then you mean it, and people know that, and that's how you're going to build integrity from your business and not have a bunch of 1-star ratings on Yelp. Again, going back to passion and courage, and just needs to be repeated that you really need to be passionate about your business, because in the beginning, especially, you're going to be working a lot more than you're used to. And then once the business starts taking off, it will dwindle down and you'll have more time. But if you're not passionate about it, it's going to feel like work, and people are going to notice you're not passionate about it. So be passionate and just be courageous, and know that in the beginning, it feels like an uphill battle, and then quickly it snowballs and builds. So then we have the different types of leaderships, okay? So we just talked about the qualities of leaders in general, and then in the same way that there's different types of entrepreneurs, there's different types of leaders. And you want to really understand what type of leader are you, and that will help you know how you're engaging with the people around you. So you've got the visionary, the wisdom seeker. They've already been the wisdom seeker, and now they've have all this wisdom that they want to share, and they have a vision, and they're leading people with this visionary wisdom that people are, following. Then you've got the mentor partner. I'm a mentor, kind of went for the mentor partner leadership style. I was a different one before. I guess I would say I was a manager, organizer, because I was managing performers. And then I quickly realized, oh, people needed mentoring. And so I jumped into the mentor leadership style. And then you have the integrator. And so the integrator, again, is the person who's kind of more connecting things and making sure that things connect. And then you have the influencer. So this is where a lot of people aspire to be. They want to influence people just by who they are and are able to facilitate transactions just by being themselves. And so I guess I would be considered a micro influencer, and you can go all the way up into macro influencer. And I have a chart on that. We'll go over that later in a different webinar, but that's really a fun topic as well. And then you got the manager organizer, which is what a lot of people are. If you're thinking about creating an entertainment company, you're essentially managing and organizing events and people, and other people are doing the thing, and you're just managing and organizing it so that the systems are smooth for the client. Then you have a relationship manager. And so this can be this could even be like a relationship management system. There's relationships within your company, and some leaders are just really good at facilitating the relationships, and they would have like a HR department or something like that, right? And then crisis. And you have leaders who are like crisis leaders, right? Because you have some leaders who are like rocking it, and then a crisis happens and they're like under the table, and then you have some people who are just like super quiet and behind the scenes, and then a crisis happens and they just jump to the forefront and they're able to quick think crisis, and so you could be any one of these. You can switch between any one of these. You could be multiple ones of these, and you want to recognize these qualities in other people so that you can create your dream team for your business. Thank you so much for joining me in this webinar for your entrepreneurial mindset. Again, my name is Krystin Railing, and this is the Think Like a Business program. Thank you.